The energy surrounding the New Orleans Saints right now is higher than we have seen in at least 5 seasons, bringing a renewed sense of hope to a passionate fan base that has desperately craved a return to championship-caliber football. With legendary memories of past greatness preparing to culminate in ultimate football immortality this coming summer, the franchise is finally turning the page on a couple of highly controversial figures who dominated the headlines for far too long. However, as voluntary off-season practices officially kick off, several quiet roster battles will ultimately decide if this team can truly compete. To understand where this team is heading, we must look directly at the trenches, where second-year offensive lineman Torricelli Simpkins is suddenly thrust into one of the most critical roles on the entire roster. While general manager Mickey Loomis has done an admirable job assembling 3 consecutive solid drafts and landing impact free agents like running back Travis Etienne to bolster the offense, serious questions about depth still linger over this group. This concern is magnified at the center position, where the exceptionally talented Eric McCoy remains the undisputed anchor of the line when healthy, but has unfortunately missed 20 games over the past 2 seasons alone. That troubling history of availability creates a massive vulnerability for New Orleans, because while the coaching staff can boast about having decent versatility at other spots across the offensive line, they absolutely do not have that luxury at center. This is precisely why Simpkins, an undrafted free agent who clawed his way onto the active roster last season, is currently the only true center behind McCoy on the depth chart as OTAs begin. Though he spent a significant portion of his rookie year playing guard, Simpkins previously established himself as a dominant force at center during his collegiate career at North Carolina Central, where he earned well-deserved HBCU All-American honors. His raw strength, coupled with the valuable experience he gained while playing in 15 games and earning 2 starts last season, makes him a fascinating player to watch as these voluntary workouts progress. The coaching staff is banking on his ability to transition seamlessly back to center, because they know that if McCoy suffers another setback, the entire season could depend on how quickly Simpkins can solidify the middle of the line. For a physical team that wants to establish the run and protect its quarterback, having a reliable backup center is not a luxury, but an absolute necessity, making Simpkins one of the most vital, unsung heroes on the roster as they begin to implement their brand-new offensive scheme designed to bring postseason football back to our city, transitioning from the grueling battles of the interior line to the explosive perimeter. Playmakers, another fascinating storyline, is developing around a young pass catcher who could quietly become one of the biggest draft steals of the offseason. While the majority of media attention and fan curiosity when it comes to rookie wideouts has naturally focused on the highly anticipated arrival of Jordan Tyson, there is a massive amount of internal buzz building around 4th-round draft pick Bryce Lance. Standing at an impressive 6'3" and weighing a solid 200 pounds, the former North Dakota State standout possesses the kind of physical profile that NFL front offices absolutely drool over, but it is his jaw-dropping athletic metrics that are really turning heads in New Orleans. Many fans might recognize the family name, but this young athlete is rapidly carving out his own unique legacy after running an blazing 4.34 40-yard dash and recording the second highest athleticism score at the entire NFL Combine. Normally, when a franchise selects a developmental skill position player in the 4th round, the standard expectation is to slowly groom them on the practice squad while they adapt to the speed of the professional game. However, because of his elite raw physical tools and the team depth questions at wide receiver, the Saints simply cannot afford the risk of exposing him to waivers in hopes of stashing him away. This means that his high-stakes audition to secure a permanent spot on the active 53-man roster officially begins the moment he steps onto the field for these voluntary practices. The coaching staff is eager to see if his explosive speed can translate into refined route running and consistent playmaking against NFL-caliber defensive backs, because if he can grasp the playbook quickly, he could provide a much-needed deep threat dimension to this offense that opponents will have to respect. Every single snap during these warm summer months is going to be incredibly meaningful for his development, and his progression will dictate whether he becomes an immediate weapon. While the offensive innovations and rookie weapons have understandably generated massive headlines, the defense has quietly made several strategic adjustments under the radar that could pay massive dividends once the grueling regular season begins. Among these subtle yet highly intriguing additions is veteran cornerback Martin Emerson, who joined the roster this spring after a roller coaster start to his professional career in Cleveland. Prior to his recent struggles, Emerson was widely recognized as an incredibly tough physical defender, earning 33 starts during his first 3 productive seasons with the Browns and establishing himself as a reliable starter who could match up with the league's bigger, more aggressive receivers. However, his promising career trajectory suffered a devastating setback when he tore his Achilles tendon during training camp, forcing him to miss the entire previous season and undergo a long, grueling rehabilitation process. Looking to capitalize on high-upside players coming off major injuries, the Saints front office made a highly calculated move by signing the talented cornerback to a team-friendly, low-risk contract worth $1.5 million. At that price point, Emerson represents an absolute steal if he can regain even a fraction of the physical, press coverage ability that made him so successful early in his career. In New Orleans, he is projected to serve as a primary backup at the cornerback position, which is one of the most demanding spots in this aggressive defensive system, and one that desperately needs veteran reinforcement. The voluntary workouts represent his first real opportunity to test his repaired Achilles in a competitive environment, while also beginning the essential process of learning a completely new defensive scheme and building chemistry with his teammates. The coaching staff is not expecting him to be a savior, but they are eager to see if he can push the starters and provide the kind of reliable depth that separates good defenses from championship-caliber units when injuries inevitably strike. His progression from rehabilitation to the active roster will be a vital storyline to follow closely throughout the upcoming weeks of intense preparation this hot summer. These individual roster battles are unfolding against a broader backdrop of profound organizational transformation that has injected a massive dose of optimism into a fan base that had grown increasingly frustrated and weary over the past few years. For a long time, the shadow of legendary quarterback Drew Brees hovered heavily over the franchise. But with his historic legacy finally set to be permanently enshrined in the Pro Football Hall of Fame this August, there is a tangible sense that New Orleans is ready to embrace a brand new chapter. The frustration that fans previously harbored toward figures like Dennis Allen and Derek Carr has officially been left in the rearview mirror, as both of those polarizing figures have been gone for over a year now. In their place is a fresh, forward-looking energy spearheaded by a highly intriguing young quarterback prospect in Tyler Shough, who many believe has the physical tools and leadership qualities to eventually become the franchise's long-term answer under center. To support this young quarterback and rebuild the team's competitive identity, Mickey Loomis and his scouting department have put together 3 consecutive stellar drafts while strategically aggressive in free agency to secure veteran playmakers like David Edwards and bring back fan favorites like linebacker Caden Ellis. This combination of youthful potential and veteran stability has created a highly competitive atmosphere inside the locker room, where every single player knows that past achievements mean absolutely nothing under the current coaching staff. As these voluntary off-season practices progress, the focus will not just be on individual performance, but on how quickly this revamped roster can gel into a cohesive, hard-nosed unit capable of reclaiming dominance in the NFC South. For the veteran leaders who have been through the battles and the young prospects trying to make a name for themselves, these next few weeks of OTAs are going to establish the physical and mental foundation for what many hope will be a triumphant return to playoff football. The dedication shown on these practice fields today will directly shape the quality of play this upcoming fall. Ultimately, while many casual observers might dismiss these early voluntary sessions as meaningless summer exercises, true football fans understand that championship rosters are forged in the quiet heat of May and June. The New Orleans Saints are quietly building a deeper, more physical team that looks ready to move past the frustrations of the recent post-Brees era and aggressively claim their place at the top of the division. With a highly rejuvenated fan base backing them and a locker room filled with hungry young talent fighting for their professional lives, the stakes have never been higher for these players trying to secure a permanent home on the final 53-man roster. Now, we want to hear directly from you, the dedicated members of the Who Dat Nation who live and breathe this franchise every single day. Which of these 3 unheralded players do you think has the absolute most on the line over the course of the next 3 weeks? And do you believe this revamped roster has what it takes to bring playoff football back to the Superdome this winter? Drop your thoughts, opinions, and predictions in the comments section below, and make sure to subscribe today.